Welcome to this episode of the Building Texas Show. I'm excited to be back in Fredericksburg, Texas, visiting with Jason Roemer today from Fredericksburg ISD. Recently, we sat down with David Pedragon, and he told us about being a community champion for the Incubator program. And Jason is here as the teacher that leads the efforts at Fredericksburg ISD. I've gotten to know Jason over the years as we've talked about building this program. And it's so exciting that they're going into year 2. So Jason, thanks for joining me today.
I'm excited to be here. I'm really excited to just always promote our program and talk about entrepreneurship education across our state.
Well, you're back in the school, getting ready for another year, but I don't want to miss the moment in that you're a teacher in Fredericksburg ISD that also does the Incubator program. You wear a couple hats as a teacher, and I don't think that's unique.
Right. We do a little bit of everything. I am entering, year number 27 in education. I've been teaching business education for 27 years. I did 3 years of retail management before the coaching bug caught me and educating, and I had very impactful coaches in my life. And I missed the athletic world as I was, 25 years old, working in retail management, and decided to go back to get my education certification. And business is what I've been teaching out of a boring old textbook, as many of us learned the business way growing up. But yeah, I've been in Fredericksburg since 2001. I left for 3 years, came back to the Hill Country. You know, the Hill Country has a way of calling. I went to Dallas for a year, and I remember the principal and the athletic director in an interview said, Jason, I'm curious why you are leaving the Hill Country to come to Dallas when all of our coaches and staff want to go to where you came from. And so I learned that. We were there for a year, and then opportunity to come back to Fredericksburg High School presented itself, and my wife and I jumped back in here. Yes, I teach entrepreneurship too. I teach Incubator. I also now I coached volleyball for 23 years, and now I'm coaching track and cross country. I also coached basketball last year. So our first year of Incubator was awesome, exciting. It was a whirlwind. Every day was a new day and adventure. And then I'm also coaching. From July 30th, we were blessed to have runners at the state cross country meet and at the state track meet, which was May 15th. So that's a whole school year. And then my oldest daughter is 18. She graduated. She was a senior. My wife is the high school librarian. My youngest daughter is going to be a sophomore, so we were all 4 at campus. Fredericksburg ISD is still, we're still that small. We're not small. The small German town. We're not all German, and we are a huge community, not a small town, which I know we're going to get into in a minute. But yeah, my wife and I are lifelong educators, and go back to 18 months when about 18 months ago when I first met you, Justin. In Bernie, watching the Incubator program in Bernie, wondering if we could implement this thing. And we have, you can tell my passion for this program. And, all these educators are leaving the education world, right? I should have probably resigned and left and gotten frustrated and all of this stuff. But my education career has really been rejuvenated by this program. And the way that these kids have responded to it, the real world experience, the hands-on building of a business has just there's no words to describe it. People ask me all the time to describe it, and until you go through it, it's really undescribable. The satisfaction of seeing the kids grow as presenters, as teammates, as business IQ has grown so much, and they see their world differently as consumers, but also as people trying to build a product is is really awesome. I can't wait to be really old and have our first CEO from the 2026 incubator class at Fredericksburg High School. I hope I'm around when that happens, and I'm sure I will be, but because they're not very far from that, it's very gratifying as an educator to see these kids grow and have an impactful classroom the way we have.
It's really incredible to watch, and I don't think you'll be waiting long before you see that come to fruition. But I want to pause before we jump into it. I also want to make a comment about teachers. There's not enough of them. And I want to encourage people listening that it is a great place to come in and build a career.
Yeah, no doubt. We've had 30 volunteers walk into to our classroom this past school year, and I'm quite proud to say that, and it speaks to what they're learning of all aspects of the business world. But yeah, I appreciate what you're saying. I coached girls athletics for so long, so I've been an advocate for girls athletics across the state. And now I've kind of shifted a little bit, picking up business education, and public school education is a challenge these days, and in our state, there's a lot of misnomers about what goes on in these hallways every day. But there's the CTE world is just the career and technology education world is really picking up steam as we've gone from everybody should go to college, and we've learned that that's not the right way. That's our business community, our economic community needs tradespeople, and we're speeding up that process, and it's really cool.
It's exciting to watch, and I appreciate that you're finding that balance, because that's one of my favorite stories to tell, is that kids, male or female, are seeing themselves in those mentors. They're seeing a strong business leader come in and say,
Yes.
"Oh, I could picture myself in those shoes." And it gets beyond, well, what do your immediate people do for a living?
Yes.
How do you break that mold? Not because that mold needs to be broken, but because there's opportunity that is unique to you as a student to go out and
Yes.
create a new life.
And that's been the best part of this last year. I have been teaching so long out of a textbook, and I keep coming back to that, the difficulties of teaching real world principles out of a textbook. And you and I have talked. I think one of the first times we met, we talked about rural schools and all of the possibilities and the bubble that we live in. We joke. I've lived here 25 years now, so it's okay. I'm almost considered a native Fredericksburg
Almost the local
person, almost. But we do live in a bubble. We're an hour and a half from Austin, hour 15 minutes from San Antonio, and yet the 78624, as we call it, the Fredericksburg community, is unbelievable, the transformation in the last 10 to 12 years because of hospitality and tourism. But the people in this town that that are in the entrepreneurial world, that are retired, or in the process of the commuter, like David, for example, that I have taken great joy in sharing our community's entrepreneurship journey, but then also the reality. The business world, in the textbook, the textbook tells you, well, I think it's grown now, but 1 in 5 businesses will fail within their first year. And yet our students, we could talk an hour on AI, Justin, but the social media world only shows the best, only shows the highlights of what entrepreneurs are doing. And David Pedragon is unbelievable. One of the first time he's in the room is and the curriculum, the pivot, the number of times these students are failing and having to change their business plan on a weekly, a day-to-day basis. a huge life lesson for them, because these kids are high achieving students. They're students in high school. They don't fail. Sure, some of our campuses is struggling to graduate. The students that are doing this program, they're high achievers. They're AP students. They're 4.0 GPAs. They don't fail. So for David Pedragon to tell a story of, and he won't mind me sharing the story, but he failed at a startup when he was trying to scale a Dogology, a dog store that's still on Main Street here in Fredericksburg, but he failed to scale it. He sold it. He got out. His wife tells him they're down to a couple $100 in the bank, says, okay, are you going to get a job?
Yeah.
What's next? And if you follow David Pedragon on LinkedIn, you don't see that. So
Right.
that's one of the great lessons. In our community, we have one of our judges, Chad Myers, who he's CEO of a small business called Core Havelina Holdings. He distributes and manufactures rubber products, and he is on 90% of the new build airbag suspension systems for 18-wheelers. That's his product. Manufactured in Mexico, distributed right outside of our town. And those are lessons that the kids don't understand how you can be successful in the hill country and in our rural community. A gentleman, Mr. Hinojosa from
Yeah.
the CEO of Central Texas Electric, who used to be a business teacher back in the day, a long time. He came to teach about project management, which is the current CEO he's got projects and he's got teams and he's managing. Our teams here in our classroom are very small microcosms of that. So he's given great lessons. I have really, really loved our community coming into our hallways and our classroom to expose the kids to more possibilities that out there, but also the lessons of failing. And we could talk a long time about social media and how that is just the highlights of what they see, and they're learning how to fail and pivot.
David and I talked a lot about failing forward and that word of iteration that isn't used in today's social media world. It is everybody's winning on their first try. And that really does set someone up for great disappointment in life.
Yes.
And instead, we're teaching them how to overcome hard things, how to work through those problems, how to find the resources available, whether you're in a rural community or a downtown urban setting. Incubator has really shown across a number of school districts nationwide that going in and teaching these principles creates a more rounded student.
Yes.
And people like your local electric co-op CEO coming in and talking about project management is also exposing them to the electric co-op that they had no idea existed and what the cool stuff happening at CTEC. Because Tachi is an innovative leader coming into that role and growing a hill country community that's getting a Waldorf Astoria, right? It's a growing community that's unique in its bubble.
Yes.
But it doesn't have a lot of business, like job opportunity today for those high school students. So the CTE programs are key to creating that new opportunity, but I think to creating the next generation of businesses, whether that's the student doing it now, which isn't recommended, but it's when they come back 15, 20 years from now as a successful welder, as a successful business leader, as a successful HVAC tech, they can come back and be a value add.
Yeah. One of our board of advisors is Dan Kemp, who's the CEO of Security State Bank. And Security State Bank started in Fredericksburg, headquartered here, but now 19 branches from Fort Worth down to the Valley, and a growing bank, but they have 120 employees here. And Dan knows the difficulty of hiring in Fredericksburg with the high cost of living. But yet we also, as I talked to, it happened to me, the hills of the hill country pull you here.
They do.
As he said, our kids are leaving, going to college, they're leaving, or they're going to trade school. They're going chasing, the dollars in the Metroplex. But yet they have a tendency to come back, and we are equipping them with skills to leave. But then there's no reason, and Chad Myers is a great example of a distribution and manufacturing facility here. He loves it because he's literally 45 minutes from I-10.
Right.
And it makes sense, but it hasn't been here. And our business community, we have raised a lot of money, and maybe our community has raised, for the number of students in our school and our community size, the Incubator people and Uncharted Learning, the curriculum company, tells me we've raised more than almost any other school. Which is, I pride myself in today's Texas public school finance system. We are 100% of the money that we raised has stayed in this classroom. And outside of my teacher's salary, that's the only tax dollars being used. And so it's a unique community, full of entrepreneurs, centered on hospitality, tourism, winemaking, agriculture. But yet we have these little projects and pockets of trades going on. The construction people, the agriculture people. One of our mentors, Sam Sage, has it's called Hillside Beef, and she is grass-fed beef. And it's great because she is a mentor. She's learned a lot how to run a small business when she's in the classroom. I just can't say enough about the quality of people that we've attracted in our community. If you've come to visit Fredericksburg in the last 10 years, the hospitality game has really changed. The level of our restaurants, our B&Bs, our hotels, it is a destination city within the state, and it is filled with entrepreneurs, and they want employees that can shake hands, look you in the eye, and talk and work on a team. When Dan Kemp came in the first time, he grew up in the bank. He said, "I'm not an entrepreneur, I'm an intrapreneur. I look to grow my business every day." And so the kids realized, hey, I may go work for a Fortune 500 company as hit the ground running as entry level, but we're teaching them skills to be an entrepreneur and grow business within a business.
Grow themselves within a business in a lot of
And
ways.
grow themselves. Absolutely.
And I've had the opportunity, and I hear everything you're saying about the community, but I want to circle back to, it took you going to these leaders and bringing them in. And I got to witness that. I came and spoke in front of your Chamber of Commerce about the program and the importance and the value. But the chamber presidents also who made this possible today, reconnecting us and say, oh, wow, look at what they've done. And,
Yes.
and so that support has really been seen, but it takes a champion asking. It takes a champion bringing that curriculum in and saying, hey, we can make this possible, despite recapture funding and all kinds of other school financing things that we get into in other episodes. And I'd encourage people to go watch Missy Bender from the Texas School Coalition talk about that topic. But you've raised a lot of funding, and I think it's between $20,000 and $25,000 typically per year that's raised. And then that goes back to the students as scholarships, as startup funding if they follow a very specific route. But more importantly, it puts these great people in the classroom, and it gives kids the visibility. And other business leaders at the chamber example, other business leaders see, oh, this is what giving back looks like. Or, hey, this is where I could really go and make an impact that I never knew was an opportunity. I reminded David that, there's a UIL curriculum for business pitching now, which is really exciting for somebody that, I did high school sports and all of that, and you learn a lot of hard lessons in that way, but you learn a lot of it. You mature quickly in that 10 minutes on stage in front of 500 people. And that's worth recognizing, that it takes the courage to be on that stage. It takes the courage to go out into your community and make the ask that you've made. And then it really takes a lot of tenacity for you to show up every day, wear all the hats that you've worn, and go until 9:00 at night, helping people put on events, helping people do the group meetings, helping practices happen, because there's never enough fields and it's hard to schedule. And, that those things are all real issues that I think educators like you work through every day across the state and across the country.
You were at our Gillespie County Economic Development Council meeting last spring. This spring, they invited me back, and I took the winning team from our pitch contest. And I will tell you, they gave a 3-minute presentation. From pitch contest was 10. They pared it down and did it in about 5 minutes. They ran through their pitch. I've learned it is easier with students to raise money and get more volunteers. Those that were in the crowd that didn't go to the pitch contest, they were wowed. And I totally appreciate the kudos that are coming my way from you. I sincerely appreciate it. This might be my athletics background. The coach is only as good as the players, and the team that the coach assembles. We've been blessed with a tremendous team of volunteers, starting with David Pedragon, going all the way down. But then these kids, the first time when we met in Bernie, and I saw the kids give an elevator pitch of 90 seconds or 30 seconds, I wondered if our kids could do this, but I have never put them in that position with some guidance to do that, and they were scared to death. In our classroom, gave our first presentation, and they it becomes a little bit of an adrenaline rush. You get over that fear, and then you want to get better, and that's the whole mentality of improve every day, get better every day. And the kids kept rising to the occasion. Every time, as an educator, I was always afraid. You build this product in August, September, October, and you don't pitch it until May. I was worried with all the pivots and the troubles and the headaches of starting a business. To the kids' credit, they never threw the white flag in. They were sponges and wanted to learn more, and we did it. We had 6 unique business ideas, business growth, and they all had potential to be scaled to a business. They all had headaches and things that they needed to overcome and hurdle, and as you know, that takes money. And shockingly, the 17 and 18-year-old students didn't have the money, but we've taught them about risk and all of that, and none of our products are to the LLC stage or to the growth stage or scale stage of continuing, but all of the students are on to the next thing, and they all have ideas. Most of them are seniors in our hallways and classroom, and they have caught the entrepreneurial spirit and the bug, and they've enjoyed coming up in the challenges, which I don't like to label this generation as anything other than we were in the same hallway as them, faced with different obstacles and a different journey. But this group really thrived on the challenges of the startup and overcoming, and they have caught that bug and spirit, and they're ready to either hop the next thing or start their career in one way or the other.
Well, it's incredible to watch. I've been privileged to be a part of it. And I want to remind people as we wrap up that you're one of many of these programs across the state. And if you've listened to this conversation and say, well, I wish my school did that, you could be the community champion in your ISD. Go talk to the CTE programs and see if you're already doing INCubatoredu or some form of entrepreneurial curriculum. They're always looking for mentors. They're always looking for helpful people that want to come in and give, and also come in and be rewarded with the work that you're very fulfilled when you watch this happen the right way. And so, what are you looking forward to as we go into the school year and year number 2 of the program?
The kids and I have hit a home run. and the expectations are high, and it's a totally new group of kids coming in. Um, we sold out the theater. We gave away $21,000 in seed money or scholarships, and so replicating that is going to be a big, tall task. The kids are the next group are excited. We're building this culture, and I'm really excited about just seeing more growth and seeing the kids that went through the program. Justin, the day after our contest, Caroline, part of the winning team, she wants to be a mentor. She's like, "Oh, can I be a mentor now for next year's group?" and and you don't feel that way unless you had value from your mentor. And so Jen Sizemore was their mentor, and she did a great job with that winning team. And yeah, we've about doubled our volunteer pool. We've been working all summer to increase. We're increasing students, so we got to increase mentors and increase coaches. Um, we've been blessed with a lot of money in the bank, so we don't have to go out and fundraise quite so much. But just impacting that next group with and tinkering and getting better processes of our classroom. I'm really looking forward to that, and then just seeing the kids grow. And like I said, we're growing this thing here with our Chamber of Commerce. Justin, we have had talks about having a spot on Main Street and tying into what we do with the Chamber of Commerce, and growing this entrepreneurship initiative in the Hill Country, which makes the hair on my arm stand up a little bit of thinking of ways to show our community and really the Hill Country region and the state of Texas what these kids are capable of doing. But back to your point, yeah, I have talked to people from Hondo, Dripping Springs, College Station. I have talked to those people about implementing this program, which that's the coaching part of the athletics part of me sharing all of this is really cool. I really enjoy that as well. But yeah, if you're watching and you want, and it's an impactful program that can really impact the hallways. Um, you know, every classroom in the state of Texas now has dynamic CTE programs, career and technology education programs, and they're happening in a lot of community. The community aspect is the number one piece that I keep telling people is what made the difference from teaching out of a textbook to the real world application is the students interacting with the community and learning from the community is exponentially better than this just from this old teacher. So,
Well, Jason, I so appreciate the way you are building Texas and the opportunities that this will continue to open up for your community, for students, for the chamber and the EDC that want to build an entrepreneurial ecosystem. I'd point you to the city of Buda that has done it really well. Jennifer Storm and her team launching the Hive were very
yes.
similar in their goals of how do we make this early entrepreneur visible on Main Street. And they're doing really exciting things. You're doing really exciting things. Thank you for spending time with us today. Thank you for enjoying this episode of the Building Texas Show. We release a new episode every week, and you can find us across all social platforms. Please like and subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.